Back in the 80s and 90s, myself and many other people involved in today's Poor People's Campaign were part of a national, what we call the National Union of the Homeless. We organized over 35,000 people in 25 cities, and we really became a force. We were part of the takeover movement, where we would go into public housing projects that had been boarded up, and we'd move homeless people into those projects. I became involved because at that time I was with the Steelworkers Union in Chicago, and we had a lot of unemployed steelworkers, tradesmen, plumbers, pipe fitters, electricians, carpenters, people who knew how to fix places up. So we teamed up the unemployed steelworkers of Chicago and Gary, Indiana, with the homeless union, the Chicago Gary Homeless Union, moved into Chicago Housing Authority projects, took the plywood off the windows, fixed them up, moved poor people, homeless people into those units. So fast forward to where we are now, with the explosion of homelessness, which is really just the most visible expression of poverty. Poverty is wide and deep, but the most visible expression is people living on the street, people doubling up, living in their cars and their RVs under freeway overpass. So we think, there's a core of us who have the notion our time has come. We're coming back full circle. We have some experience with this notion of building a union of homeless people. And we have homeless union organizing groups up and down the state of California. As far north as Humboldt County, as far south as San Diego. So we decided to form a California Homeless Union State Organizing Council. And a lot of what we do, we're going to talk about publicly. A lot of what we do, we're not going to talk about publicly. We're just digging in and organizing. And it's our intention to be part of a Poor People's movement, that the homeless union could become part of a Poor People's Campaign. So Brian and Ray Lynn, we heard about their case, their legal cases, and we got up there and we've helped them form the Marysville Homeless Union, and another part of the leadership of this statewide organizing council.
Where it started, I woke up one morning and an excavator's running my fence over. And I'm telling her to get up, and here I got the police officers with guns, I've got the code enforcement with guns. They're telling me to get out of my camp, that I don't have a right to be there anymore. I've been there for 10 years. Well, that day continued, and for the next 2 weeks they took over 401 tons of personal property from over 130 camps and over 300 people, and they still to this day are doing it. And their reply to anybody that you can't take my stuff is, well, we don't care, we'll sue us. That's the reply.
And that's what you're doing.
And that's
what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. I didn't know anything, mind you. I didn't know anything about law. I just knew that they did it wrong, and I had to do something about it.
They call me the homeless mayor, and so for that reason I call the homeless people my people. Their houses have been destroyed. They've been kicked out of their homes. The only place they have to call home is a tent. And the county and the city have decided to come in and just tear them all up. And it's just not right, and enough's enough. So I've come here with the help of the Poor People's Campaign, to hopefully get that stopped. I have a lawsuit for about 165 homeless in my town, and they just really are looking for an answer to where they can go from there. A lot of them want off of the streets, off of the river, and they come to me every day. My job's 24/7. I leave my phone on for them to call me any time of the day because they need help. They need hope. And me coming here today and for the week is just giving them a lot of hope right now. Like right now, they're home, leaving panhandling to send me some money just so they know that I'm okay while I'm here. Because when I got on the plane, I had very little money to even come because I'm poor myself. But they know I'm here for them.
So I think, when they talk about this campaign, not just helping people, but hoping people.
Hoping people.
And I think
John.
you have hoped a lot of people here, and I wonder what the campaign has done for you.
Well, it's got me to meet a lot of great individuals like these people here, and to know that we're all in the same boat, but the boat has different rules. They don't have different rules. They got the same captains in every county and every city, and the rules, they're not letting us know how to operate the boat, and we need to identify those rules as being the same civil rules that I've got, the same human rules as I got. If we have to know the civil rights a little bit more than the entities that are government entities that are directing our lives, if we know a little bit more than they do to protect our rights, then we've got a little edge on them. And I think all these people together, hopefully they can go back to each one of their states and counties, and they could start with a little bit more an advantage. And it's not an advantage, it's just something that every human being should own.
One of the slogans we had back in the day when we had the National Union of the Homeless in the 80s and 90s, and we were going to put that slogan right back now with what we're doing with the new homeless union movement, is homeless, not helpless. Ray Lynn was on the steps of City Hall in Marysville with 163 people who had signed on to a claim. These are not people who are helpless. These are not people who are relegated to a subhuman status, which is what cities, states, counties are doing across the country to dehumanize homeless people. And I will tell you, the dehumanization of homeless people is only the opening gun to the dehumanization of all poor people in this country. And what's happening at that border, where they're taking these children away from their families, the same thing is happening. They're taking children away from homeless families. They go into the camps. People have been forced into these camps. In some cases, like Brian is saying, the cities themselves have created these homeless camps. They ghettoized them. They took them off the streets and said, stay here, okay? And now that they come in, then when they break up the camps, they take these children and say, well, we have to take you away. And sometimes they charge the parents with child abuse and neglect because they don't have a house. And so they're separating families right here in the United States. We'll stand with those people at the border. We know what that pain is. This is not going to be easy. It is not going to be easy to build a poor people's movement in this country. Poor people are the least organized. We've got a lot of people that talk about poor people, but they talk about poor people as if they're helpless, or they're objects of pity, or objects of scorn. We're neither objects of pity nor objects of scorn. We're building a network not just of these homeless unions, but we're building a network of attorneys, of journalists, of members of the clergy, of medical professionals, and we're saying, look, this country it's costing this country billions of dollars to keep people poor. Poverty is expensive, and that's what the American people need to understand. And when they see people on the street and they see the stereotype, and they say, oh, these people are drug addicts, these people are alcoholics, these people are bums, they don't want to work. Look at them, look at the conditions they're under. That's the stereotype. We're here to bust the stereotype. And you just talked to some leadership in Northern California that set out to do that. Every problem, there is no more incidents, there's no greater percentage of mental illness, alcoholism, or drug abuse in the so-called homeless community than there is in the general population. That's been statistically proven. Statistically proven. It just happens behind closed doors. We got human beings here who have less protection, less legal protection than property. There's more rights afforded a building in this country than there is a human being. We have people with college degrees in the homeless union. We have teachers. We have people who work their whole lives in middle management. We have people who got laid off from industry. How is a 50-year-old crane operator for U.S. Steel going to find a job in this new economy? There ain't no position for them. They're becoming homeless. So it's a broad movement, and we're going to shine a light, and we're going to change the narrative.
Poor People's Campaign, a national call for more